Hope to a child in the foster care system. It starts with your heart. That tug you feel in yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together, we will get through this.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
From the Watchdog, here is your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy, high of 83. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, low of 70. And for your Wednesday, expect a chance of showers with a possibility of a thunderstorm and a high of 82. And that's your local weather forecast from the Watchdog.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
On air, online, on demand, and on video. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
The traditional Music Under the Stars concert's coming up with the Wheeling Symphony, and we are going to be talking about that with the music conductor John Devlin in just a handful of minutes here as part of what's coming up on the Watchdog Morning Show. Also in this hour, State Senator Bill Ehlenfeld will join me, and we're going to talk about that Brooke County power plant and a few other issues involving Governor Justice and COVID and the legislature and all that sort of stuff. So that's all coming up in this hour of the show today. Governor Justice, as we talked about last hour, gave in to the parents who are asking for students in orange counties to be allowed to play football, even though the color-coded guidelines said you can't do that. The governor said, I will not give in to pressure. Then he gave in to the pressure and said, I'll adapt the guidelines so that we can try and get these kids play. But the counties, the three counties involved, Fayette, Kanawha, and Logan, all said, we're not going to do it. We're not taking this special deal you're offering us. We'll sit out this week like we're supposed to, and we'll hopefully be able to get back into the games, literally, next week. We'll talk to Senator Ehlenfeld about that a little bit as well. Drones and brain chips and the KKK and school lessons and Labor Day travel all coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show as well. If you want to talk to me, you can do that on the text line, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, Watchdog Radio Network text line, always open, always available for you to use. The CityNet hotline, which you're welcome to try from time to time. If we have a little time, I try and squeeze some calls in, but a pretty busy morning come up today. But you can use it, 304-232-8255, 304-232-TALK. And happy to get you on that line when we do have time. More folks joining us on our Facebook Live video feed, and I appreciate that. Nice to see you there. Nice of you to see me there. I can't see you. Don't worry, don't panic. If you're wandering around in your underwear or something, I can't see you. No. But if you're watching me, and I'm not wandering around in my underwear either, just so you all know. So just to be clear about that. But thank you for checking in on Facebook Live video. And or on our brand new YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch the video feeds from my home studio and from the radio station studio for much of the rest of the day. You can do that by going to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, look up the Watchdog, and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Like it, and then subscribe to it. And when you subscribe, you'll be notified every time we do go live, which is a really good thing. That way you'll know that we've gone live, and you'll know that there's something happening that you might want to watch. And a lot of folks are on the Facebook Live video feed already. Let's see, Tom, Martha, Margaret, is that Margaret? Yeah, Margaret, Dawn, Dana. We got a lot of folks on. Thank you. Appreciate it for joining us today. Elisa's there, I see. Okay. Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live video. Want to get depressed, Biffy? I got a terribly depressing story. Want to do this one?
Yeah, let's get it out of the way now.
I mean, I guess, do you want me to depress you is not a good question. Probably nobody will say yes. And if you do, probably you need some psychological help. This is a true story, serious story. They're out of Colorado, Biffy. A Denver woman died in her car in the emergency room parking lot of a hospital. They didn't even find her body for 3 days. She had medical needs. She went to the emergency room. She couldn't get out of her car. She couldn't make it inside the E-room. We have to assume she probably thought, I'm in the emergency room parking lot. For God's sake, somebody's going to come and find me. She died. This was last Thursday. She went into the parking lot, and it was not till this past weekend on Sunday that anybody found the body in the car. And just sort of, I hate to give you this image, but the story here says, when they found the body, it was blistered and too decomposed to even have a proper burial.
Oh, boy.
No, oh, God, Biffy.
To not even, and we think of a burial, the proper burial as, kind of the end, and, that's it. It's
it gives you some sense of closure.
Right,
yeah,
closure.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to not even have that, oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine.
Family member says, quote, somebody dropped the ball, and I want answers. Well, yeah, somebody dropped the ball. The hospital, again, this is in Englewood, Colorado. I want to make clear, I don't want to misconstrue, nothing local, but this is in Englewood, Colorado. Hospital said, quote, we offer sincere condolences and deepest sympathy to the family and to the loved ones. Upon discovery of the event, we immediately notified the Edgewood Police Department and have worked closely with them. I don't know what the policy is at any emergency room, but in any hospital, particularly if you're outside an E-room, but in any hospital, wouldn't you think that somewhere, somehow, the security kind of keeping an eye on things? Wouldn't you think? And maybe they couldn't have found her in time to save her. I don't know. The story I have here does not. Well, actually, it says they're still determining the actual cause of death. Maybe they couldn't save her, all right. But somewhere in less than 3 days, wouldn't you think security would have said, that car has been there for a long time, and that woman has been slumped over in that seat for a long time? I mean, wouldn't you think somebody would have said something like, oh, maybe it's a drunk passed out, we better go check. I don't know, something, anything.
I find it hard to believe.
3 days.
I find it hard to believe that a car could sit there for 3 days and someone wouldn't have noticed or said anything about it.
Any car sitting there for 3 days, I would hope that any security guard would take note of. Now, it's a hospital, so maybe someone came into the emergency, and it was outside the emergency room, so maybe someone came and, in the best of all possible worlds, you could say, well, somebody came, went into the emergency room, and then was admitted, so the car is still here. But a car sitting there for a period of time in a parking lot, after a while, you begin to wonder about, but someone was in it! She was in it!
Yeah. That's the giveaway.
It wasn't an empty car. It wasn't just, wonder where the woman who, or the person who drove that car is. It wasn't that. She was in the car. And somewhere around day 2, wouldn't somebody know? Again, I'm getting the skin is beginning to fall off her face. I don't know what happened there, but something happened there, and I think if I was the family, I'd be finding me a good attorney.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would be finding me a good attorney. Detectives are investigating. They're requesting surveillance video. Okay, here's part of the answer, actually. The car windows were tinted windows, so they said it was hard to see inside the vehicle. And I get that, all right, so I get that. But still, 3 days.
Well, that's...
And also, of course, I guess if the car windows are closed and everything, but, I mean, based on the story that we're looking at, wouldn't she begin to smell?
Well, you couldn't move around. I mean, if you look in and you see that something's there, but you're not sure, don't you put your hands or your face literally up against the window and move around to see, yep, there's something in there. At least by the second day.
The call. Well, exactly. I mean, I'm going to look. We're all human. I'm going to give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. It's a car in a hospital parking lot, tinted windows. I'm not saying they should have caught it on the first 8 hours, but at some point over 3 days, somebody,
at least at some point on the second day.
She didn't answer calls to her home the day that she died. Her family thought maybe she had gone to visit a family friend, but after hours of not hearing from her, they contacted police. And again, the story I have here is a little bit unclear. If they contacted police early, like the first day, how did it happen? It took 3 days to find her. I don't know. Police officers discovered the body in her car in the emergency room parking lot. Her daughter-in-law says she must have thought, I'm in an ER parking lot. Surely they will find me. Somebody will come. And they didn't. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have shared that with you. I said it's a depressing story, but you ask yourself sometimes, how do these kind of things happen? There's enough tragedy that is totally unavoidable in life, right? I mean, there's enough tragedy that is totally unavoidable. This strikes me as an avoidable tragedy. Just a horrible story. Comes out of Colorado. All right, now let's see if I can make a positive and happy transition.
We need it after that.
Yeah, to music out of the stars, and welcome music director, conductor of the symphony, John Devlin, with us. John, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Howard. How are you?
I hate to segue right from that dead lady story into you, so...
But you couldn't tee me up better for some feel-good news today, right?
Yeah, I guess probably I should have thought this through. I should have thought the order of conversation here through before I did that story. John, how you been doing? Are you staying safe, and what are you doing during COVID times?
Well, it's not like any other time that I've experienced or the orchestra's experienced because, of course, a lot of people can work from home or do so in a socially distanced manner, but conducting an orchestra requires a lot of people in one place, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of virtual content where we would release videos of people playing, or I did a little bit of a lecture series, but I'm so happy to report that this Sunday we are going to come back for the first time since March 12th as an orchestra.
Is this going to be a live event?
So we're doing this in a little bit of a hybrid way to make sure everyone is as safe as possible. The orchestra is getting together live, just like we normally do, up at the Ogilvy Amphitheater. But for the first time ever, we are not going to have an audience watching us directly. But we've been able to team up with WTRF, and they are going to stream a very highly produced, really professional-looking stream of the concert on WTRF.com, and it's also going to be on regular old TV on the My Ohio Valley channel. So this is a first for us, getting on the airwaves in this way, but we figured this is the best way to keep everybody safe, but let them hear the music.
Well, that sounds like an interesting approach to things. You've done a couple of virtual, I don't know if it's a couple, you've done at least one virtual event, right? A virtual performance, right?
That's correct. And that performance was chamber music. So groups of 2, 3, 4, 5 people recorded separately on their own, and we wove them together into kind of an hour-long concert or so. And this is a reimagining of what a normal orchestra concert looks like. So we're going to have 45 musicians together at Ogilvy, and I'm going to conduct, and we're bringing in a really fantastic guest artist who is a young superstar soprano, versatile in both like Broadway, Disney show tune type music, and professional opera singing. And her name is Bridget Gann. And so it's going to feel more like a normal concert than anything we've done thus far.
How are you making sure the orchestra itself is safe? I mean, is there social distancing involved? I'm not sure how you do that, because I would think they have to hear. I don't know. Tell me how you're going to do this for the orchestra themselves to keep them safe.
Sure. Well, we have been working very, very closely with Howard Gamble over at the Health and Safety Office, and following every single guideline that we can to keep people as safe as possible. And so, normally on a stage, everybody is pretty crammed together. We get about 85 people, but in this case, we're going down to half of that. Every string player is going to have his or her own music stand, and every single person who can be wearing a mask will be wearing a mask, and everyone will be 6 feet apart. And to tell you the truth, this is going to be very odd for me. I'm not even going to be on the stage. They're building a platform for me off of the stage,
really,
so that I can be socially distanced from the orchestra. And we've got a fantastic sound guy that comes in and makes sure it all works, so that everyone's going to have an individual microphone on their instruments, and then the stream of the sound for the concert is going to be put all together. So it's going to be a little bit different, like I said, but we'll do our best to make sure everyone can hear properly on the stage, and then we've definitely made sure everyone can hear properly who's listening at home.
That's going to be really interesting. I guess I was thinking about how could you wear it, but I guess other than maybe the horn players, you could wear face masks. I mean, if you're playing the viola or something, I don't know what instruments they're playing, but other than a mouth instrument like a horn, you could keep a mask on while performing. So I guess I assume that's what many of them will do to the extent that they can. And the fact that it's outdoors itself is certainly helpful. I mean, it's not on the Capitol stage. It's going to be in an outdoor environment, which is better, I guess, for the spread of COVID is less likely in an outdoor environment. So that part of it's good too. Yeah,
exactly. So that's working for our benefit there, that this concert traditionally takes place outdoors, kind of marking the end of summer, And so we're going to be doing that. And speaking of outdoors, one other listening option that we can provide to the people listening to the show today is that down by the Schenck Lake at Ogilvy, we are going to set up a speaker tower so that people can listen to the concert live through that audio feed. But of course, what we ask anybody who takes advantage of that option to do is bring your own blankets or your chairs, whatever, but stay safely apart from people that aren't in your quarantine pod. The benefit of doing it that way is that you would be able to see the fireworks that, just like every year, we're going to shoot off at Ogilvy right at the end of the concert.
Well, that's cool. I like that. I like that idea. I must say, I have noted at a couple of the summer concerts that Ogilvy has had down by the lake, I've been impressed with the proper social distancing that people engage in. I mean, it was very informal, but everybody was very careful. I'm really critical of these crowds that gather in some places, and as I was up through a couple of these concerts that they've done at Ogilvy, everybody seemed to be following guidelines. It was enjoyable because I didn't worry about everybody, being on top of each other. So I'm glad to see people are paying attention. But John, what's it like for the symphony? Of course, you guys rehearse without an audience, but music under the stars without an audience? Isn't that going to be weird? I mean, the whole thing is weird, I guess, for the orchestra. Weird is a different.
You know, I couldn't.
But without an audience, isn't that part of it going to be weird too?
I mean, you're exactly right. Is this how we want to do it? Of course it's not. But it's better to make the music and make the necessary adjustments to what we need to do to make everyone safe, like you're suggesting, proper social distancing, and then we'll figure out the rest. You know, you look. I'm a bit of a sports fan, and you watch a little bit of the NBA playoffs, and they're piping in crowd sound. We're going to steal that idea, and we're going to have some artificial applause after each number, so that as we stand up,
no,
but hey, you know, it's what's going to make it feel organic to everybody, because of course the musicians, that's what we take our cue from for energy and for how to react once we're done playing. So we're going to try to produce this in a way that feels really authentic, and then starting the next weekend, and I'm sure we'll have another talk about that at some point, we're going to move to a different type of format where we actually do go inside, but we reduce the size of the orchestra and the audience by many factors, so that, again, we're abiding by all safety guidelines and keeping everybody safe. But this is certainly a time for experimentation, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody is trying something new and something different. So you're gonna sort of pipe in applause and so on. Are you gonna, like some of the sports teams do? Are you gonna have fan cheers? I mean, like somebody going, "Yay, bassoon!" something like that, you know?
Yeah, well, we'll have a little bit of that, and I asked them to keep defense in there, just at appropriate times.
Sure, why not? Why not? I mean, you have had to spend, I would assume, you and the symphony board and others have had to spend a lot of time figuring out what in the world are we going to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not just with this concert, but in general. I mean, it's been a rough year, and it ain't over yet. You want to get some kind of a season underway, I would assume. You got to be spending an awful lot of time trying to figure out, what do we do, how do we do it?
That's right. And, nobody had a plan in their back pocket for something like this. And with the symphony, we plan about 2 years in advance, because you have to book the Capitol Theater, all the musicians, and guest artists that are sometimes coming from overseas and have to make Wheeling the stop on their schedules during that time. So, of course, right away, we went into triage mode, where we alerted everybody that needed to know, hey, our normal plans aren't going to continue. But one thing I've been really, really proud of is, led by our interim executive director, Betsy Delk, our office staff combined with our artistic staff has combined to make new plans, I think, just about as quickly as any orchestra in the country. And, with us coming back Labor Day weekend, we certainly are making a statement that live music is here to stay once again, and we're going to find a way to make it happen. So the fall is not going to look anything like a fall has looked like before for us, but as I mentioned, we are starting a new series actually exactly 1 week from Music Under the Stars, called Sound Bites. We're up at Glesner Auditorium on a Sunday in September, a Sunday in October, and a Sunday in November. We're doing 2 concerts, and we're combining a food and beverage experience with a classical music concert. And, Glesner is a really big room, and we're only letting 150 people into the room, and all of the tables that we have where people will be served will be 6 feet apart, of course, and the musicians will, again, be socially distanced, and we're going chamber-sized orchestra, meaning about 12 to 17 players for the orchestra, and we're pairing the food and music together. And so we think this is a new, innovative concept. Rather than trying to do a watered-down version of what we would normally do in the Capitol, we're going to bring everybody in Wheeling something completely different and new. Hopefully that will feel appropriate to the size of orchestra and the size of experience that we're able to present under the current conditions.
Are you and Betsy Delk and board members and so on, are you kind of working, do you have 2 tracks that you're working on here? One is we've got to do this kind of thing, chamber music, smaller venues and so on. But I mean, at the same time, are you trying to put together some sort of a schedule that would be, more like a traditional schedule, hopefully someday getting back to that?
Yes, indeed we are. And we haven't announced those plans publicly, because the last thing we want to do is, for a second season in a row, have everybody expect something to happen in the Capitol.
Right.
and then have to alter the plan. So what we're doing is we're building a plan starting with January, which is, I think, our best case scenario if a vaccine comes in or if we can find a way to do things in a socially distanced way and the Capitol reopens. And we have a small orchestra concert planned in there for January. And then as things become more secure in our own minds, we'll announce those plans to the public. But right now, the earliest we would plan to come back in a normal format would be January. And please join us in the chorus of prayer for a vaccine that is effective and that makes everybody safe as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's the only thing that's going to send an awful lot of people, and I speak for myself, to be honest with you, back into a true normal routine. I mean, we may begin to filter back into society a little bit more than we have been, but until there is a vaccine, I think a lot of us are just going to be pretty antsy about any kind of a quote normal event again. So, but you guys have been pretty creative. I got to give you credit. I mean, that's what needs to be done. You just got to think the proverbial outside the box. I mean, there is not even a box anymore. There's no box. It's just you just got to almost literally pull things out of thin air and say, maybe we can do this. But I'll say one thing, John. I think I mentioned this to you before. You'll certainly have a memorable first season in Wheeling to talk about.
Oh, wow. You're right. This is something that I will certainly never forget. And I think for everyone that's alive during this time, this is, let's hope, a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And we're going to remember what the world was like during 2020, won't we?
There's no question about it. And quite frankly, I can hardly wait for 2020 to be gone.
You and me both.
I mean,
but we're going to make the best of the rest of the year over at the Symphony.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, Music Under the Stars is when this Sunday?
It's this Sunday the 6th, starting at 7:30 p.m. And again, there are 3 ways you can watch the show. You can join us at Ogilvy over by the lake, not at the amphitheater. We're going to have a speaker tower set up there. Bring your chairs and blankets and watch the fireworks. Or you can watch it on WTRF.com. It's going to be streaming there, and we'll set up some links on Facebook, stuff like that, so people can find it. And it's going to be right on your TV on the My Ohio Valley channel. And depending on what service you've got, check the channel listings for that.
Right. Is that going to be a live feed on the over-air TV, or will that be a delayed broadcast?
It is going to be a live feed, and we are excited about that.
Okay, that'll be kind of cool. Well, I wish you well. It sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, it'll be fun. Look, if nothing else, it'll be fun. It'll be something to say, holy mackerel, do you believe what we're doing here today? So
there you go. And hey, this is my first time having a full concert like this on TV. So I'm excited, and I think everyone in the orchestra is excited to see what this is going to feel like. It's a little different.
Well, and you know what? Maybe it'll be such a popular thing that Channel 7 will say, you know what? Let's see what we can do more of this. And maybe that could come down the road, too. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's...
And we could call it Devlin and Company. We'll call it Devlin and Company.
I don't know. I think we'll have to find a snazzier name than that. But, I think one of the things that we think about right now is, like you just said, taking some of these experiments that we're being forced to undertake because of COVID and seeing what would work for something that we could do that's a little out of the box once we're back to normal.
One of the through lines I've been talking about a lot on this radio show is for all of the negative things that have happened as a result of the COVID pause and the pandemic. There are some good things that I think are going to come out of this, that we will be. We've learned some things about ourselves and how to do things, and we've been forced to do things in different ways.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are going, that actually works. I mean, I think one of the obvious ones is I think we're never going to see as many people working in an office as they used to. I think working from home is going to become a much more standard affair. I think schools are now they'll get through this remote learning business because they have to right now. But I think you will see forms of internet/remote learning become a much more standard part of public schools as time goes by. And who knows, maybe more virtual concerts or things of this nature will be part of the Symphony's ongoing marketing program as y'all get things going.
That's right. And hey, normally I would be a quarter mile down the road sitting in the studio with you. I miss that.
Yeah. I have, but Biffy, I've only been in the studio probably 2 or 3 weeks since December. You may remember, John, I was off sick. I was in the hospital for much of December. When I came out of that, I broadcast from home for medical reasons. Got back into the studio for a couple of weeks, and then the COVID came, and here I am broadcasting from home again. Although, again, this is not a bad way to do things. I like the rolling out of bed and walking 4 steps to my studio here. It's actually not a bad way to do the radio show. We've kind of got to do
There you
that.
go.
All right, John. Music Under the Stars. People can. Yeah, there you go. Well, in the beginning, as the audience knows, in the beginning, before we put the video feed up, now a video feed again. From my home, before I put the video feed up, I would come in my jammies and whatever. And then at some point I said, I just can't do this. If I'm gonna go to work, I at least got to put some clothes on, for God's sake. So I do get informally dressed a little bit to come and do the show. All right, Music Under the Stars Sunday. What time, by the way? I don't know if I asked that or if you told me that.
No problem. I'll say it again. It's 7:30 p.m. and every bit of information you could possibly need is on our website, WheelingSymphony.com.
All right, good. Hey, I appreciate. Thanks talking to you. Thanks talking to us this morning, and we'll chat again as things get up and running in whatever way, venue, or approach you take. It's a fun year to see how things are playing out. Thanks, John. I really appreciate it.
There you go. Thanks, Howard. Bye, Biff.
All right, appreciate it.
See you, John.
The music conductor of the Wheeling Symphony with us this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. And it's going to be Music Under the Stars, Sunday night, 7:30. It will be, if you want to go up to the lake at Oglebay, there will be fireworks afterwards, as there often is with Music Under the Stars. You cannot go where the orchestra is. The orchestra will be outdoors at the amphitheater for the Under the Stars part of Music Under the Stars. But you can go up and there'll be these big speaker arrays set up and you can listen to the music, and then be there for the fireworks and so on. So that's kind of cool. And if you can't, you can watch it, on TV. And that's a good way to do it too. All right, Biffy, let's take care of some business here. Let's see. We've got, I got to get, Tony Caridi in. I got to get, I guess I better get a Metro News update in as well. And I got Bill Ehlenfeld waiting. I'm so far behind time. Oh, God. Sorry about that, Senator. I'll get to you as quickly as I can. But first, Biffy, business.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Chris Lawrence.
deals like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales. Plus, rewards like fuel points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
By now you have heard that John Thompson, the legendary Georgetown basketball coach, has passed away at the age of 78. Thompson's legacy in the world of college hoops is massive, and it's not just because he was the first African-American coach to win a national championship. John Thompson did it his way and didn't apologize. His Georgetown teams in many ways changed the culture of the game. Like Thompson, they were big, strong, physical, and intimidating. The West Virginia angle to all of this is that Thompson coached against WVU on 6 occasions, winning 5, losing just once. The very first encounter, 1975, the Hoyas visited the Coliseum to battle the Jody Gardner-coached Mountaineers. West Virginia led the game by a point at halftime, but Georgetown found a way to win by a final of 62-61. Current Mountaineer coach Bob Huggins shared scoring honors that night with 14 points. The next meeting between the two schools was historic. WVU's first ever game as a member of the Big East Conference, December the 2nd, 1995. With over 15,000 fans squished into the Coliseum, Georgetown, behind Allen Iverson and Victor Page, tripped the Mountaineers in overtime 86-83 in a dramatic encounter. Thompson would then win 3 straight against WVU, but the Mountaineers got the last word in Thompson's final season as a coach. West Virginia, a team that would reach the Sweet 16, spanked the Hoyas 81-70 behind 27 points from future Hall of Famer Damian Owens. John Thompson walking the sideline with that familiar towel draped over his shoulder. Like him or not, he didn't care, but he did change the game. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Are you struggling to make payments due to an unexpected financial obligation or loss of income? Are you receiving calls from debt collectors? Are you feeling overwhelmed and unsure of what steps to take next? Then you need the experience and expertise of attorney Tom McIntyre and his staff to help guide you through these temporary hardships. Want to hear more about how Tom can help? Then call 877-456-4155 and receive a free copy of Tom's ebook, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Tom's ebook covers many questions people have about bankruptcy and includes interesting stories about people who tried to avoid filing and people who have filed for bankruptcy. We think you'll be surprised to learn some interesting facts about bankruptcy. Call 877-456-4155.
Oh, there's something so real about living local, and I know without a doubt I'm not alone. And I love living local. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Said I love living local. WTRF is working for me. The Ohio Valley is where I love to be.
Hi, this is Shauna Johnson from Metro News. Join us weekdays on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe for the latest regional news from West Virginia and beyond, along with news and weather from WTRF TV and Bill DeFabio Sports. We give you the Ohio Valley's most comprehensive morning news right here on the Watchdog.
Miss a part of the show? Want to hear a segment again? Check out our podcast page at watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
I am always so far behind time. I need to apologize to State Senator Bill Ehlenfeld for keeping him on hold for a long time. But Senator, welcome to the show. I got a lot I want to talk about, so let me just jump right into it if you don't mind. This Brook County Power Plant project, what the heck's going on with that?
Happy September, Howard. Every day it seems like there's a new development in this project. And just yesterday, the governor had some really interesting comments during his press briefing about his position, and he clarified his position. And now he says that he's going to have the West Virginia Economic Development Authority review the application again for this loan. And you know, this is a $1 billion investment in Brooke County, West Virginia, and it all comes down to the state being willing to guarantee, not put any money into, but guarantee a $5.6 million loan. And so at the end of the day, if the whole thing collapses, then we're on the hook for $5.6 million. The reward part of that would be a $1 billion investment. It would be hundreds of millions of dollars in payroll and lots of downstream activity, lots of money for the Brooke County Board of Education and County Commission. But to answer your question, the governor has seemed to have come around a little bit, which is great. And he said he's going to ask the EDA to look at it again. He's going to go with the EDA's recommendation. Now, keep in mind, the EDA previously said, Governor, we should do this. The head of the EDA told him, you should go ahead, the state should go ahead and guarantee this loan. He's playing some games here, some political games. Ben Salango, his opponent in the race for governor, has come out in support of the project, and there's been other public figures that have really raised a stink about this. I'm one of them. I don't know if he's paying attention to me, but he certainly pays attention to Ben Salango, and he tends to pay attention to what's being said out there in the public. And I think for this project, that's a good thing, because I think he's coming around. He's starting to feel the pressure. It's kind of like all of the band parents last week. It's kind of like all the football parents yesterday. If enough people raise a stink, he'll come around, and I think he finally is on this project.
He said he has some concerns about it. I'm not totally sure what those concerns are. I mean, let's be honest, there is some speculation, and it's just speculation unless you know more than I do, that to some extent this has to do with the fact that he is a coal operator, that the coal industry doesn't like gas-fired power plants. We saw Bob Murray and others attack the proposal in Marshall County a couple of years ago. Basically, that's a dead project now. Because somehow by saying that we're supporting a gas-fired plant, we're denigrating coal. I mean, I don't know if that's really behind it or not, but that certainly has been the speculation, Senator.
It has, and Stephen Allen Adams of the Ogden Papers wrote in his column yesterday just that he has the feeling from the governor's comments that this is showing the governor's bias towards coal. He owns coal mines, for goodness sake, and he is endorsed by the West Virginia Coal Association. He just went to a pro-coal rally, and that's fine. You know, yeah, there's a lot of conflicts of interest with him, and he should have put his assets in a blind trust, and he didn't, and all of that. But there does seem to be that sort of cloud hanging over all of this. But as far as what questions he has raised about why we shouldn't do this, he yesterday said, look, we need to make sure we hire at least 75% of the people from the West Virginia workforce. Well, the developers already put in a memorandum of understanding pledging to do just that. And, you know, this project's in the northern panhandle of West Virginia. We never do a project up this way that doesn't include some workers from Ohio or from Pennsylvania. That's just how things happen up here. And we don't care. If the bulk of the people are from West Virginia, that's what we want. But if we have some people come over from Steubenville, that's okay. They're going to be buying gas in West Virginia. They're going to be spending money over here. That's fine. The other thing he said yesterday is that the gas that's used to fire this plant has to come from West Virginia. And the plan right now is for this plant to connect to the Rover pipeline, which is in Pennsylvania. But a lot of the gas is from West Virginia. Will all of the gas come from West Virginia? I don't know that's going to be the case. I think most of it will. And ultimately, according to the developer, this plant will be the largest consumer of natural gas in the entire state of West Virginia. I hope the governor doesn't say, well, you know, a little bit of the gas is going to come from Pennsylvania, therefore we can't do this. That would just be idiotic. But he does seem to be coming around, and I hope that the head of the EDA and Ed Gonch, who's the Commerce Secretary, come in with a strong recommendation that he do it and that we can move forward.
You are much more circumspect about your language than I am, but many of the objections the governor has raised, even as of yesterday, strike me as simply ways to say no. As you know, I'm a big believer in how do we find our way to yes. These strike me as ways to find no. well, we're going to have 75% local workforce. Well, it's already built into the project. We have to have local gas. Well, okay, maybe the majority will be local, but something will come out of Pennsylvania. These are in my mind, and again, I know I'm less circumspect than you are, Senator, but these are just ways to throw obstacles in the road instead of trying to find ways to clear the road. And it really bothers me. We're talking about, I'm looking at some numbers here from, is this Stephen's story or Metro News' story? This is Stephen Allen Adams' story from yesterday. According to the website for the project, it would create 1,164 direct and indirect jobs, 30 full-time jobs when it's completed, a $1.25 billion economic impact during the construction phase. Well, the governor's pretty good at spending $1.25 billion on his own. He's got that federal CARES money there. And $440 million economic impact annually to Brooke County. I mean, can you imagine Brooke County saying, hey, $440 million economic impact in our county and the surrounding areas, Hancock and down south as well. $1 million in payment in lieu of taxes to Brooke County. $433,000 in payment to the Brooke County Commission. $167,000 to the Brooke County School Board. What's the downside? What? And I'm repeating what you said, Senator, but I want to stress this again. We're not even talking about giving these folks money. We're talking about a loan guarantee. Let's look at this, Senator, in terms of the amount of money that we already have given, actual money, to other power plants, and the tax incentives that actually have literally cost us money, we've given to other power plants. This isn't even cash out of our pocket unless the whole thing falls through.
Exactly. There has been so much corporate welfare over the years by this state and by the legislature, and the Pleasants County power plant, the legislature bailed it out last year. I think that was a $12 million reduction to the taxpayers, to the tax rolls. This won't do that. This will not be a reduction of $1. This is just guaranteeing a loan. And then we look at the reduction in the severance tax on steam coal from a couple of years ago that directly benefited Bob Murray. That resulted in a reduction of $50 million each year to the general fund of West Virginia. So it's just remarkable. This would be, I think about the time I've sat on the Senate Finance Committee. If someone were to come up and present this to our Senate Finance Committee, which is bipartisan, more Republicans than Democrats, and say, look, we don't need anything. We just want you to guarantee this loan, I think it would pass unanimously. Unless the Coal Association was promising to take a couple of people out for a steak dinner later that night, and here comes the cynic in me, because that stuff does happen in Charleston. But it's just so, back to your point, it does seem like he's putting up some reasons to say no, some really hard data points, the 75% workforce, which is already in writing. All of the gas must come from West Virginia. Well, what happens if 1% of it doesn't? He does seem to be putting up some opportunities for himself to just, at the end, say, this just didn't work out. He also said yesterday, which was strange, that he very seriously doubts that they will ever raise the amount of money needed to go through this project. Well, Huntington Bank has already approved the financing for this. They've already got the financing. It's in place. And so it just really, he's all over the place on this. And we really need this kind of a project and an investment up here in the Northern Panhandle. And I hope, and let's just talk pure politics. This is good politics for the governor to get behind this. Forget about that Coal Association endorsement. He's going to do a lot better politically if he supports this project. And if I'm not a big supporter of his, but if we get this project and he ends up winning, well, he deserves to win, because the people up here get behind him because of this project. Well, then that's fine. I want to see this project happen because we need it.
As you point out, if a project like this was first being proposed to the Senate Finance Committee or anybody else in the state, we would jump on it. We beg for, maybe beg is too strong a word, but basically we beg for companies to come in, to invest in our community, to hire local workers, to pay more taxes. We beg for this kind of a project. This is what we need and what we want. And then for the governor to, at least initially, imply that he wasn't behind it is just, it boggles the mind. And again, I want to stress again, and the worst that happens, is that the whole project falls through and the state is on the hook for the 5.7 or whatever that is as far as the loan guarantee, which is still half of what we gave to the Point Pleasant's power plant.
Right.
So it's
we gave that away.
Yeah, so it's just ridiculous. So the governor does seem to be, but the governor, give me a quick take on this, Senator, before I have to let you go. The governor perpetually is changing his mind anymore, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but whether it's the marching band or the football players, or I'm going to have a color-coded map, but I'm not going to follow the color-coded map. He tends to be, blowing in the wind an awful lot.
Yeah, he does, but I think there is a little bit of method behind what all of this madness. In that, I'm told he does a lot of polling, and it's not hard to put a poll out to the field. You can poll just about anything, and in 5 days you can have your finger on the pulse of a particular issue. And he's got people behind him that are suggesting that he poll a lot of different things. And I think when he either sees the data or he starts to feel the pressure via social media or otherwise, then he changes his mind. And he says he's not caving, but he'll cave. And if we send a bus full of Brooke County residents down there, that might just do it. But he is all over the place on many different issues.
Yeah, I had to laugh. I mean, literally laugh out loud at his comment yesterday that I will not give in to pressure from parents. And in literally the next sentence, he gave in to the pressure from the parents to modify his own color-coded map stipulations to allow these kids to play. I commend the counties that said, thank you, Governor, but I think we'll just stick with the original plan. Senator, I wish I had more time. I took up your time, and I do apologize for that. Because I wanted to ask you, you're not on that very powerful advisory committee that he has, are you?
No, I'm not. He has not invited me to any of those meetings, and I'm not sure if it even exists, to be honest with you, but I have not been included in that group, if it does.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I've got an advisory committee, he tells us, but we don't know who's on it or when they meet or if they meet or anything else. But it's a typical phrase of the governor. Just trust me on this. Senator, I appreciate your time again. I'm sorry I got you on late. I apologize for it. Thanks for joining us today, though.
Thank you, Howard. Take care.
All right, have a good day. State Senator Bill Ehlenfeld this morning on the Watchdog Morning Show. Just about 9 o'clock. Got a few odds and ends on COVID and elsewhere to get to coming up in the next hour, but first, ABC covers the world.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Even though state leaders...
All right, Biffy. I'm going to use the starter block next hour if you want to get that intro at some point. And other than that, I don't think, unless somebody calls and I don't remember them, I don't think we have any guests. So we'll just do some odds and ends during this hour of the show. And I'm going to go see if Teddy is here, if I have to go on a treasure hunt or what's going on. I'll be back in a couple minutes. All right.